The collaboration for this project is Panta Collaborative with Miles Dean, and the name of the bench is 66 CO2.
Panta Collaborative is a network of architects, urbanists, and researchers working in different constellations from London as well as Berlin and Zurich. And in this project, Eugenio Capuccio and myself, Bene Walbrink, are involved. We wanted to challenge traditional models of working and pool resources collectively to be able to work with multiple people and across disciplines on different design projects. This is how the collaboration with Miles began. We realized that we had shared interests challenging the use of existing resources and processes in construction towards more sustainable and novel forms of craft and design. Miles brings, for example, experiences from the fabrication and contracting side. Eugenio has worked through the technical delivery of several reuse projects, and I bring a more, let's say, theoretical approach from academia.
Working both in the design and contracting sectors of the construction industry, we realized basically how much waste is produced that does not re-enter the cycle of reuse, especially with concrete. Concrete gets a lot of bad press for its poor ecological footprint, and there are not very many solutions to date for reusing it in its solid or virgin form. And so we wanted to question these prejudices around concrete and see if we could suggest new futures within the circular economy for this material. Seeing as the expansive regeneration that is currently in process in the Royal Docks area, these developments inevitably will produce a lot of waste. And so we wanted to see if we could take some of that waste and work with it to give something back to the docks public realm. We think that if we are to turn towards reusing more of our existing building stock rather than building anew, we need to begin thinking equally as much about how buildings are taken apart in addition to how they are put together.
66 CO2 is unapologetically made of concrete, and we fought really hard to keep concrete as almost the only element. Starting from the processes involved in construction and demolition and the materials and also the sources that we could find to procure this material, we had to look for what we could make it from before we realized what it looked like. And this led us to the two kind of key parts of the bench, which are the concrete cores, which form essentially the legs of a bench, and the concrete pavers that form the seat. And we had a wonderful partner in Wellcome Trust who invited us to one of their sites that was in demolition to give us these. And then also the London Borough of Newham is doing a lot of regeneration work, donated the pavers to us. So once we had these materials in hand, we were then able to work out, okay, how do you make a bench from this? And the concrete brings a lot of different character with it. And that's something that we're quite proud the bench expresses.
We also wanted to use the concrete as a mass that can be worked with, playing with finishes to the surfaces, maybe exploring, honing, hammering or polishing the material, and also highlight the tectonic qualities of that material, distinguishing cast surfaces from cut ones to achieve a sort of variety of textures, and also highlight the different densities that the material can take and actually use that process of responding to the existing material and its qualities to inform the final design.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique situation where the aggregate that we see on these cores is in some ways what other designers and other products are out there spend a lot of time and energy trying to create with terrazzos and exposed finishes.
It made us realize sort of how fragmented the construction industry currently is in that sense, because it makes it so difficult to sort of identify and facilitate potential channels of communication for reuse of materials when you have all this sort of leftover waste on construction sites, or even just for small bits of work occurring, even if it's just investigative works that structural engineers will carry through early stages of projects. And it's like, well, where is all this material going? And if there were some way that we can sort of bridge those gaps between these different channels of communication. We know that the Royal Docks is an area that is undergoing a lot of regeneration and change. And I think change is also an opportunity to explore new ways of doing things. And I think that's also what we wanted to explore through our design. How can we design something that poses a completely new way of working with waste material? I mean, this is essentially a prototype for, something which could be scaled across the City of London as a sort of model for repurposing waste and designing a whole load of new urban furniture.
The concept of teamwork was like is what defines our approach in this project. And our experience is that the methodology of exchanging ideas, especially this time with dealing with the topic of reuse, often creates an atmosphere that can positively have an impact on the outcome of the project, of the design. And I guess we all hope that you see this approach also in the design of the bench.